Hello, human. Whoa. Welcome to Coprolalia, the only podcast that says 00251756. We've both become robots. I don't know how much more clear I can make that. And this is that was a good intro. That's how you do that. It's called planning. It's called production value. I'm Rye, aka Wrath, Instagram cartoonist and android, and I'm joined by Giles Dodsworth.
Yeah.
Aka Reverend Giles. And
I do music as well. We both do music. Do you remember that?
I remember once upon a time.
Yeah, we used to really do music.
We did music really hard. Most time of my life.
So yeah, the little machine, we have this little machine that allows us to travel through time and also, I guess, space as well. And
I guess.
It's fucked up. It's like, it's malfunctioned, and now we ended up on an oil rig off of New South Wales, and we're both robots.
That's the sound of the oil rig working. That's what oil rigs sound like.
Yeah.
A couple of men with hammers, and they're hammering away at oil.
Making sure that oil is nice and tender.
You gotta beat oil out. You gotta get it, because it starts off as a big rock. Sure. And you gotta flatten it out, turn it into a liquid. And the only way you can do that is with tiny hammers.
Well, yeah, in this economy, you cannot afford to run large hammers.
No. Only many men with small hammers get the job done. Giles, is VR going to take over the world? Are we going to live
totally.
Are we going to live in a simulation within the next 100 years?
It's possible we're already living in a simulation, right?
In fact, it's actually much more likely that we're living in a simulation than we're not living in a simulation.
Yeah, I mean,
according to science,
pretty much it's fairly provable that like our brains operate by running a simulation of what we're experiencing. Yeah, but have you seen Ready Player One?
No, I saw the trailer and thought that looks awful.
It was awful, to be honest.
Yep.
However, it's just very likely, apart from like the romance.
Well, romance is dead. Tell you that.
Yeah, doesn't exist.
As long as we can face fuck robots, there's no room for love in this world.
Nice. Yeah, in that movie, basically, like, once VR technology is affordable, let's face it, you've already got so many people in the world right now who are so glued to non-stop television that it's almost like you do your work and then you check out.
Yep.
And if VR is cheap and affordable, which eventually it'll be, you're definitely going to have people who just like play Second Life by getting home from work, chucking on the VR, and just do weird shit online.
If we want this to not be a reality, where everyone's in virtual reality, then we need to make our current reality a bit more appealing.
Yeah, the fear for me would be that, like, if people are checking out so easily, then they become complacent or like apathetic towards the state that they live in. Because you can be wearing shit ripped dirty clothes if you're simulating for yourself a place that's clean and you're wealthy or you look like a king or something.
Yeah. But is that better? Is that better than okay, well, no, I'm thinking more just purely aesthetics and status, because you can be your own king in your own kingdom inside your little virtual world, and no one's going to tell you that I'm sorry, you're not wearing Gucci, you can't be no king, boy. I retract that use of the word boy. That sounded it's not how I meant that.
And on top of that, though, you're more likely to check out of your reality if it's unpreferable. So like, I reckon lower socioeconomic groups will just like who just hate the environment they live in and don't like the people around them, don't like their opportunities. Like, sure, they're just gonna go all in on this online world where they have, I guess, more assets. I
think they already do. They just do it with drugs and alcohol. And that's why people like when people usually fueled by racism will say like, oh, all these minorities just doing all the drugs and the alcohol and the crime. It's like, well, because they're trying to escape shitty conditions that we're a big part of putting them in.
And that also just grind their mental health into dust.
Yeah. So if people are escaping to a virtual reality, then clearly if that means their current reality is not worth sticking around for, then we need to do something about that before we worry about like, oh, all these bloody kids are getting into their video games that don't give a shit about life. It's like, well, because life's not that good for these people.
Yeah.
It's not very entertaining. When
there's a
yeah.
Even, there's a chance that people like educate themselves through VR and like through their I imagine if you're just like letting Netflix just continue playing, eventually a documentary is going to come on where they're just like, my life is shit. I need to work on some of this stuff.
Well, just sitting on Netflix all the time, like that's what most people do anyway. Like how far off is that really from checking out of reality? Well,
you're right. It's like the distance is time, and it's when VR becomes cheaper. That's when Netflix VR will become a thing for sure.
Yeah.
Even eBay. Imagine eBay, but you actually get to walk around and see people's electronic vendor market stalls.
Yeah. There's an interesting movie I quite liked called what's it called? Valerian? I want to say Valerian. There's a good scene that's kind of like that, where it's not really virtual reality, but it's like Valerian in the City of 1,000 Planets. They go to this market where you can't see it unless you're wearing this headset, and it's like from an alternate dimension, and pretty dope. I don't think it's virtual reality. Doesn't really apply. But anyway, good film. Check it.
Nice.
What was I talking about?
You're talking about oil in this economy.
Even from our privileged, pretty easy life of just being a couple of Aussie blokes going through school and going into jobs and stuff like that, like if the alternative is being a mech pilot in a virtual world, cunt oath, mate, am I going to be a goddamn mech pilot? Like, what style? Why would I choose anything else? That seems absurd to me.
There's a possibility that piloting a mech in a VR world is actually somehow a contribution to society.
Yeah, potentially.
Say they've actually designed robots that can do like tasks like working, like building houses, right? Well, you can sit on your couch and you can just like check into one of those mechs and just start helping out. Like, you can start helping other people build real houses over in another part of the world, but just electronically control them.
That's actually, I quite like that idea of, as you mentioned just before, education. You could learn through VR. Like, so if you learn better through doing, and a lot of people do, perhaps VR will actually be a great way to expand the school system. When obviously some people learn great from books and doing tests and the standard way of learning.
Some people learn great from books is a really good line.
That's copywritten. That's going in a goddamn cartoon.
Yeah, nice.
I'll write that down. Some people learn great from books. It's actually a book about the many different types of cheeses. Bad joke. What was it about? Yeah, okay. So people who learn better from doing, if they just wear a VR headset for their entire day of school, and they actually go in a virtual world, they go and learn how to work on rockets, where the failure of the mission has no real world consequences. They can actually fuck around and learn all that kind of shit.
No, I already think like it's the way that they'll get doctors to perform surgeries on cadavers, like just cutting open the flesh and sewing it back up.
Yeah.
You can, if you've done a good enough simulation, if you've like programmed a good enough simulation, you can show people the details and the intricacies of surgery without them harming a human being or having someone need to be injured in order to show them how that works.
Yeah.
Like Surgeon Simulator. Have you played Surgeon Simulator?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like that. You have a hand that you just pull brains out of people and then just grab other brains and slam them in there. That's how brain surgery works.
I learnt more from playing Surgeon Simulator than I did from reading a goddamn book. Tell you that.
Actually, that could be a good topic. What have video games taught you?
Okay. I guess I don't know if I would... off the top of my head, I can't really think of what I've learnt, but more just what themes I've gotten to explore. Like, they've asked questions, like philosophical questions that I wouldn't normally approach. I think, especially in darker games like Fallout, like the original, not Fallout 4, you motherfuckers, sit the fuck down. We're talking Fallout 1 and 2, baby, maybe Vegas to a degree.
Synths are actually a good topic as well, so I'll keep that in my pocket.
Yeah, I really liked that part of Fallout 4. Basically the one thing I liked. In Fallout 1 and 2, just like seeing how people survive in a post-apocalyptic landscape, and obviously exaggerate to such a degree, and approaching religions from different perspectives, and approaching things like cannibalism,
history. And this is a later Fallout game, but I like the fact that there was a clan of people in Fallout New Vegas that had read about ancient Rome and just decided to emulate that culture, because they were like, whatever culture came just before us just like immediately destroyed itself through nuclear war, so they've chosen another point in history where society existed for a moment in a state that they enjoyed, and they emulate that.
That seems to be quite a common theme at the moment, I've noticed, with like this is going to go down the road of like politics, and I don't necessarily know if I want to go there today, but
fair enough.
I see that quite frequently lately with alternate politics and especially like alt-right kind of subgroups. People just like latch onto an old society and think it was just like the fucking
Nazi Germany.
Good example. But Greek is another one, like Greek society and stuff like that. And just thinking that it was all... thinking that it was all... I was trying to think of how I can say Adolf Hitler in a Greek fashion, mate. hit cat. It doesn't matter.
No, it's a good idea. But I got nothing.
You got nothing. Masters of Improv. We are good at it.
Hitleropolis. There you go.
Sounds like a Monopoly parody. Yeah. Thinking of these societies as just like perfect, essentially, like that they worked and they usually pin their failure to usually to like to to like homosexuality and stuff like that will suddenly divert an entire society. Anyway, this is a bit off topic. What have you learned from video games? Let's do that. Still.
I learned to question reality from video games.
Good. That's good.
I've been playing a farming game. Quite a lot of a game where you just have to like plant crops and look after cows and shit. And I think I'm going through some sort of emotional journey just doing that. Just having the day-to-day tasks of feeding cows and chickens and watering plants is just... I don't know, it's like the struggle I have to have day-to-day responsibilities in my normal life, I can somehow justify in a video game. Have you done that before though? Like, actually devoted yourself to doing stupid shit in a game, but just like can't even push yourself to clean the dishes or...
Oh yeah. This is a bit of a different situation, but like I get so used to my zone in Melbourne, right? Like I don't leave the inner city because I just live here and I work here, so I don't leave. But I always think of cool things I could do and little trips I could do and think, oh, that'd be sweet, and then I never do it. And in game time, taking an hour out of your gameplay to just do one thing is one side thing that isn't even a mission or anything. Like just one side thing you want to do. That actually seems like a huge task and a huge pain in the ass usually. But in Grand Theft Auto 5, I hopped on the freight train and just sat there as it went through the loop. I just went through the whole thing, and by the end of it,
brilliant.
I jumped off at where I got on and thought, that was amazing. That was the best. I've seen so much shit that I wouldn't normally see because most people don't ride the train the entire way. It was great.
I once got into a taxi in Grand Theft Auto 4 and it was like a super long trip. I'm talking like from one end of the map to the other. I didn't deliberately do that. It was just where the mission was or something. And instead of skipping the taxi ride, I just like sat in the back seat of the taxi, just like looking out the window while the cab driver drove from one point to the other, and it took like probably 10 minutes or more of just waiting. Like that's a long time when you're waiting. And the camera stopped viewing from normal third person perspective and just started taking like cinematic. Like it would hover above the road in front of us and just watch the car go underneath it. And I got an achievement by the end of it for sitting in a cab ride while it traveled across all 3 islands or something. And that's an achievement. And I was like, wow, I just naturally gravitated towards doing that.
It's fascinating seeing what people do in video games that they do in real life, and there's something about doing it in a game that changes the experience to a degree. But I also think it's perhaps an indication of it's more of our idea of what things are supposed to be in real life that means that we don't enjoy them to the same degree. Like if you hop on a train in the morning every day and you think this is going to be a fucking goddamn waste of my time every day, you just assume it's going to be shitty, and then it's just automatically shitty for you. But because you weren't supposed to do it...
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, exactly. And same with a lot of jobs. Like, if you go to work thinking, I'm going to fucking hate my job, like, everyone... You're kind of supposed to hate your job, and I think that ruins a lot of jobs for a lot of people. And it's really exciting when I find someone who's just doing a regular job, but they're happy. Like, they don't have aspirations to be Elon Musk or to be... I was trying to think of a celebrity. Beyonce. They don't want to be Beyonce. They don't want to be Elon Musk. They don't want to have all the money in the world. They don't need that kind of shit. They're just happy to go to work, do their job, and then go home and just relax. They probably get in a mech and stomp around in Mech Warrior 5 that's coming out soon. Can't fucking wait. Holy shit. You have no idea.
Well, let's look at the guy who doesn't want to travel on the train or is bitter about his train ride. why not be able to have like a portable VR system where they are piloting a mech while on the train to work?
Yeah. You could use that. You could use your time so much better. Like, if everyone had VR, then I reckon if we could talk to people and kind of communicate the idea to them properly, everyone could ditch their cars. We set the train systems up a hell of a lot better. It doesn't have to be trains, but whatever. Public transport, right? It runs 10 times better, but everyone on the commute gets a VR headset, and you can you could start working already if you wanted to do that, or you could explore a world, or you could work on your hobby while you're on the train. Even if you don't have all the physical tools there. Like, if you're a sculptor, you could actually be sculpting your next sculpture in the VR headset on the train.
Neat. Yeah.
Because that's your time of the day. And obviously, I still am partial towards reducing the amount of time we're on trains and working every day anyway, so people have more time for hobbies. But that's a separate discussion. But if you're on your train and you're bloody working on your sculpture, maybe you've even got your 3D printer at home rigged up to your VR headset. So when you get home, look at that, your sculpture's fucking there waiting for you that you worked on while you're on your commute. How cool would that be? That's a great use of your time and a use of VR. Right, Hamilton Smith, solving the world's problems 24/7.
I dig it.
I got excited.
I'm gonna take a sip of my water here.
Ah, fuck! Here's another one. Here's a bloody another one. It's perfect for creatives. Actually, okay. So another great example of it. It is actually sculpting. Now that I'm thinking about it, is 3D modeling has had its landscape changed drastically by VR technology recently. People actually are viewing their sculpture from a 3D perspective, and they have a much better understanding of proportions and stuff like that because it's not on a flat screen. And it's spatial awareness
something.
So I've really enjoyed looking at that. That's fucking cool. And I don't have a headset or any of that shit or modeling software, but I really would love to give it a go one day. If anyone's listening and they want to sponsor me,
for shiz,
do it, mate. Here's another one. I'll just keep firing them off. If I'm feeling a bit frustrated, I want to get some writing done, but I'm like, oh man, I've been in this room for the last year trying to do some writing and drawing comics, and I'm just not feeling very inspired in this room anymore. Well, why don't I just pop on my bloody headset and I'll take a stroll down to the river? I'm just going to go down to the river, down by the creek. Oh, look at there. There's a brown bear. He's doing a little dance, but he's not distracting.
Oh, he's killing me.
This is actually a hunting simulator. I chose the wrong video game. I'm trying to get some writing done.
That's brought up an idea with me, though. At some point, we have to... Like... Are you aware of the Uncanny Valley?
Yes. So
there is, and I'm not specifically talking about the valley part of the uncanny bit. The concept that what we're experiencing in VR is just definitely not real.
Yeah.
That how do we emotionally exist in a separate reality to what we're physically experiencing?
There has to be... It might depend on the subject. Like... It's something like... If someone draws a picture of a barn versus someone drawing a picture of a face, if that barn is slightly off, no one's going to fucking notice. It's going to still look like a great barn. But if someone draws a face, if they're slightly off, everyone's going to like, that nose is slightly too askew. I don't know. Something about that face just does not look right with me. But because you're looking at faces every day and it's human, things like things that are human, it's like why drawing hands are just the fucking is a nightmare because everyone's looking at their hands constantly.
We know hands.
You know when you go down the street and everyone's just staring at their hands, they know them so well. So when you draw it and you fuck it up, they're gonna fucking know because they're like, I know my hands, and that's not what they look like.
And
when was the last time you looked at a barn?
Sorry?
When was the last time you looked at a barn?
In my farming game, actually. I have a bunch of cows that live in a barn.
Okay, bad example.
Oh, okay. A real barn.
No. I chose a bad example because you're looking at barns every day.
Yeah.
When was the last time you looked at a porcupine.
Yeah, never.
Exactly. I could probably draw you a porcupine. You'd be like, yeah, that's probably what it looks like.
Yeah. Whoa, it's spiky. That's awesome.
That's all the characteristics you need to be a porcupine.
What I'm concerned about
Yeah.
is, so say there's a human face in front of you.
Yes.
You're in VR. That's not a dispute. You're in VR.
Yep.
This person's face, and I've just seen a bunch of animations that are just like this.
Mm-hmm.
This person's face just suddenly is hit by a hammer or something, and it just like collapses.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The actual. At what point can you be traumatized by a fake experience?
Yeah.
Because you empathize with this face because it's so lifelike. It's almost like your sympathy for it or your empathy or whatever is genuinely triggered or genuinely evoked. Like, it's like you start to imagine how painful it would have been that face got hit with a hammer.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's terrifying. That's a horrible thought. But here's an optimistic spin on it.
Yeah.
Let's all go down to Africa way. Let's go down to like the worst parts of
Where?
Africa, and
where's Africa?
West. I don't think so. Let's choose something else. Let's choose something that's just globally accepted as a shithole at the moment. And I don't mean shithole in terms of the actual place. It's just it's in a bad place politically, and at the moment is Syria. It's war torn. It's not good. No fun for the people there at the moment. It's hard to get people riled up. It's hard to get. I mean, here it's hard to get people in the West or anywhere around the world worked up about it because it's hard to empathize when you can't see it, and even when you see images on the news, like it's still there's a barrier between you and it. It's hard to
carefully chosen those photos.
Yeah,
for example.
And I want to be very clear. I'm not criticizing people for not feeling the empathy, and I'm not criticizing Syria for what's going on. I don't know enough about it, but my point is you put on a VR headset and you take them there physically. Now, this would be terrifying. This would be a horrible experience, but we could actually get people to feel a lot more empathy for the other human beings that are on this planet if we actually show them in VR what it's actually going on there, and they might go, "Holy shit! I might need to do something."
Syria simulation.
Yeah. Syria 2018. Syria 2018.
Syria, yeah.
God damn. The Serious Syria Simulation 2018.
I'm keen.
That's
so like it's just a game where you sort of run through this street, but you like sort of dodge missiles, and then you what else is going on there?
We don't.
You also have to dodge chemical attacks.
Yeah.
It's a game about dodging.
I really hope no one gets angry at this bit. Surely anyone.
This is just a simulation. If you get angry at us, like we're just robots, dude.
A couple of androids just chatting about silly boys and their toys and what they do with them.
And girls.
And girls. Robots don't understand the concept of gender, so.
Does that mean that we have to deny robots gender?
Bigger question is at what point does a robot become human? Does AI become human?
Well, just not at all, really. Then,
like, does biology decide that you're? Does the biology decide that you're human, that you're right? It's like we haven't had to deal.
We're sort of a biological machine, really.
Yeah, we haven't had to deal with the question yet. Like, when does something have the rights of a human? Because obviously, like, we give animals rights. But there's still nothing compared to the rights of a human on this planet.
Yeah.
We yet to encounter something with the same intelligence of our own that we have to go like, oh shit, do we treat these things as as people now? Are these just more people? They might not look like us, or they might be machines underneath their skin, but do we have to treat them as humans now?
I think if enough individual AIs encounter the same issue continuously, I'm sure that they may even be able to like start a bill in government saying like give us access to this thing. It would be a crazy day when like the Senate, either the American Senate or wherever in the world you are, they're trying to pass bills that were created by AIs.
Yeah, Jesus. And it's really not that far. It's not that crazy to think that might happen in our lifetime.
Yeah.
I think I want to say I'm glad I'm alive in this time period. This is pretty good. It's pretty. It's crazy, and it might all hit the fan real soon. But it's at least fascinating. It's at least interesting, and not and relatively relatively good. As bad as people think things are relatively pretty good.
Well, if we're good, then
things like
we're contributing to that good.
There's a lot of shit, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to be worked on, and obviously things are very volatile, I think, at the moment. But I think just the things that I like to hold on to are things like medical science has just skyrocketed, and technology has connected so many people around the world. People in shitty situations now have access to social media that can enable them to coordinate rebellions and like political movements to overthrow evil governments and stuff like that. People can find places where they feel accepted. There's a lot of good shit going on. Anyway.
Yeah. If people want to dress up... Oh my gosh. So I saw a Vice video just recently.
Yep.
It was called Welcome to the... No, I'm messing up the title. Give me 1 second.
Alright. I'll try.
It's all my brain's fault too.
I'll try and think of one more thing that I really am happy with.
Here we go. Meet the kittens of Catgirl Manor.
What?
So there's this place in America, where there's enough women in, like, there's enough of a subculture behind it where they want to live like cats.
Okay.
So they just identify with cat aesthetics and behaviors and whatever. So they dress, for the most part, it's more like burlesque. They dress burlesque, but with cat ears, and they make cat sounds and just like lick their hands and all of that.
All of the things.
But they all live together, and it generates an income too somehow.
Okay, sure.
Through shows, I guess, just like Catgirl shows, and I mean, while I was watching it, I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I feel about this. I was also thinking to myself, this is the future. Like, enough people can find, like, if I sincerely grew up thinking I was way more comfortable identifying as a dog or a wolf, there are people out there who will accept me for that, and even like share that with me, and I maybe even be able to live comfortably being that. We'll link that in the description. Meet the kittens of Catgirl Manor. It's quite sexual, so just be prepared.
Yeah, send me that link. I want to listen. Definitely want to look at it. I want to see it, witness it.
For scientific purposes.
Only. Yeah. This similar thought I had with the VR thing is people freak out that humans are using their one life to do this weird thing, right?
Yeah.
And why is that stranger? Why is that less? Why is that weird to people? Why does that seem so bad to people? That people doing one weird thing with their life versus just doing the same thing that everyone else is doing. Like, oh, like these people are living as cats.
I
Why aren't they dressing like everyone else and acting like everyone else and working a job? Like, if this is okay, so you said this is generating income, so it's even good for the economy. Technically, they're still running a small business. So,
pretty much,
why do people get freaked out? Like, it's not affecting them in any way. And why are people worried that, like, people was like, oh, these people are wasting their lives by playing video games all their life? It's like,
so we all face rejection at different points in our lives, and we also learn to to dull the strange edges that we have in order to be accepted and to lessen our chance of being rejected. So the reaction we have when we see someone who is abnormal, and these are all subjective terms too, like I'm more likely to be friends with someone with mental illness because they are genuine towards me than I am to someone who's incredibly normal but just fucking bland.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Yeah, the reaction you have to seeing someone who's behaving in a potentially antisocial way is we empathize with the fact that they actually might face quite a lot of rejection for that.
Yeah.
And I like loneliness is probably like the biggest sort of biggest
fear.
I even want to say like killer when it comes to depression and things like that.
Yeah, totally.
And so when we see someone that's feeding their own loneliness, we also think to ourselves, like, this person may suffer because they're strange.
Yeah. I guess
some people just do suffer because they're strange. It's appalling.
What's that line? It's weird when things are strange. Is that it?
When you're strange, faces come out of the rain.
I agree 100% that loneliness is like the biggest killer, and no, it's a pretty broad statement, but even what we were talking about the other week, I think we were talking about these dating gurus, quotation marks there, men who
don't associate the word guru with someone who's encouraging like lust and things like that.
Yeah. They chose that. They want to be called the gurus.
Oh, they fucking...
Yeah, I'm not calling them a guru. Jesus Christ. They're basically they're teaching men how to...
a different word.
They're teaching...
Guru means light, and ru means... No, here we go. Let me get this right.
Coprolalia is nothing if not factually correct.
It's essentially... like, put basically a guru as a master, but put even more specifically, where is it? Darkness and light. The syllable gu means darkness. The syllable ru, he who dispels them. Because of the power to dispel darkness, the guru is thus named.
Love it.
So you're not dispelling darkness by being a fucking pickup artist.
No.
They should not use guru in that sense.
They should not use the word artist.
They shouldn't use pickup either.
No,
that doesn't even make sense, really. I pick shit up all the time, man.
Rapist isn't too far off the mark. but I understand. I don't want to just like discredit anyone who tries these techniques, because I think the guys who are leading these things are scumbags. But I get that the people who are getting involved are just lonely and they're confused, and they've just clearly dealt with shitty women and shitty guys for their entire life, that they think this is how the world works, and they think that all women are somehow against them. And it's just loneliness drives people to weird shit. So that one, though, that's directly hurting people and also feeding this strange reality where they think all women hate them, and they can invent these scenarios in their head. These cat girls don't really see how this would be hurting them. I haven't watched the video yet, but if people are doing antisocial behavior like that, like if it's not hurting anyone and they seem happy, then by all means, and that seems totally reasonable.
Well, the effect of them all being able to accept themselves and each other is actually a pro-social thing at the end of the day. Like, if you're one in a small town, if you're the only person who behaves and lives like a cat, then yeah, you could say that that's sort of antisocial in that sense. Like, they've sort of isolated themselves. Or you could say that it's everyone else being unable to accept this difference has isolated them. But, like, yeah, a large amount of people... I mean, I wouldn't be too freaked out, to be honest. I'd enter this place. It looks like they look after the building. It's like a big mansion, pretty much.
Yeah.
And everyone seems to be nice. And a few of them who are interviewed say that, like, their mental health is increased dramatically by being accepted.
Well, forcing yourself to fit into this, what people would call social norm, feels antisocial to them. That pushes them to be antisocial. That makes them feel less connected a lot of the time.
Yeah, repression. If they're repressing their actual self, then they're gonna manifest in really, like, aggressive ways potentially.
Yeah. Let people explore these ideas. Fuck it. It's not it's just good sentence. That's my opinion. This it doesn't really lead into what I'm going to talk about next, but kind of a little bit. It's an antisocial. Talking about antisocial behavior, I've been looking into what's his bloody name? I've put him up here somewhere. Adam Moore, the author of Watchmen.
Did you say Adam?
Adam, is it? What's his
name?
No,
Alan Moore.
Alan Moore. You're right. I wrote it wrong in the thing above. Alan Moore. Is the author of Watchmen graphic novels, also V for Vendetta, the original of that.
Yeah, true.
He also did a couple of other. Let's find some bloody good famous works of his because he's really interesting. He did. I mentioned him before to Giles. He also did the Killing Joke, which is a really famous Batman graphic novel, or at least short comic. Anyway, but I haven't looked. I've been only looking into him for like the last day or two, so I don't know much about him. But he said something really interesting that I just found fascinating. Was talking about on his 40th birthday. He said instead of doing anything as mundane as having like a midlife crisis, he decided what he'll do instead is go completely mad and declare himself a magician to all of his friends.
Yeah, nice.
He then goes to explain what he believes magic is, and from what I got, and this is just purely my understanding, I might be wrong about what he thinks, but this is what I got from it, is that he was basically saying because reality is based on our own perception, magic is really just the manipulation of our reality, and so magic for him is words and symbols and how he can use these to change reality for people, how he can use them to alter the way people think. And so he figured that was just a natural progression of his development to go from being a storyteller and a writer to being a magician. Yeah, right. And
did his friends accept him?
He's still very, very well regarded, very famous, and has written a lot of amazing stuff. So I think he's doing just fine. He's very. I like him because the way he speaks is still very regular. When you look at him, he's got a big beard and he looks a bit like otherworldly, a bit like a wizard, a bit like a magician. But nice. He just talks like a regular guy, and I think that's nice because it doesn't give you that extra barrier. He just seems like a regular guy, and then he just says all this profound shit, and you're like, oh wow, this guy's just amazing. But he's just a guy, which is a shame that we get kind of weirded out by that. But like when you see if you're hanging out with some odd folks. And they talk totally differently to you. They might have some amazing ideas, but there's already that slight barrier just because you have preconceived notions of what that means. But anyway, the way he was talking about this, I just found it really interesting, and he was talking about, because of this power, the way words and symbols can change the way people think, it also gives a lot more power to art. And he was talking about the basically in I can't remember where he gets his particular version of magic from, or his history from, but he was talking about the one he was looking into was basically magic and art were interchangeable, and often the people that were given the most who were considered the most powerful were first the magicians, but then the most powerful were actually the bards, the musicians, because what they can do is, sure, the magician can cast a spell on you, whatever that does, but the bard can parody you, and if it's a really good parody, people are going to remember the parody. Yeah, it'll undo you in your own eyes, in everybody else's eyes, and if it's a really good parody, that's what you'll be remembered for, is the parody of your own self.
Oh, wow.
Right? How fucking cool is that shit?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Made me feel good
Can you think of examples of that? Like, I feel like I can. Just people who jokes about them became more successful than them. I want to say, like, stuff that's been parodied or covered just, like, lots of times, or has been... I would say even, like, Smash Mouth.
Oh, yeah. Totally. Yeah, Smash Mouth is an idea now. It's a concept. It's not actually a band anymore. They're so far... people's image of them is so far removed from the actual band. That's a great example. Memes are totally doing that to so many people and so many ideas, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Have you noticed that people are now memeing "This is America"?
Yeah. I saw a great meme, which was a headline by Vice saying, "Please don't meme Childish Gambino's 'This is America," and then under that is a meme of Childish Gambino. So I quite liked.
Vice is on suicide watch.
They do some good stuff, and they do some really dumb shit. I like their documentaries, but beyond that, some of their shit they do is just ridiculous.
It's so bad. It's.
They just seem.
I want to coin a term. I want to coin a term called bottom feeding social justice.
Oh, I like that. That's a great one.
These are people who are desperately clinging to the authority that they receive from telling someone off for being insensitive.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness.
So...
that gets me so good.
When Vice says... And I think what particularly makes someone a bottom feeder, it's when they're actually not achieving the thing they're trying to achieve. So when Vice says, we shouldn't have to tell you why you can't meme "This is America."
Yeah.
To me, that just says, well, first of all, you're memeing it simply by mentioning it.
Yep.
That they misunderstand what memes even are.
Yeah.
The fact that they can use it commercially to advertise their own website, but other people can't apply the ideas within the video through visual format is so just idiotic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a really good example of this in a more personal sense. And I'm going to be very careful to not bring up the particular scenario or the particular topic. I mean, the particular people involved. But
Trump.
No, friends of mine. Friends is a loose term. Basically, there was a discussion going around recently, and I think we touched on it on the episode that we talked about. Cultural appropriation. So I've had more discussions on that with some other people, and but there was one recently where it was basically the conversation went, here's the topic, we're going to talk about cultural appropriation, here's the situation. We talked about the girl with the Chinese dress, that she wasn't Chinese, and then they blew up. The discussion got immediately shut down by the person saying, well, basically, actually, I wasn't there. This is actually two other people talking about it that I talked to one of them. So I'm not going to directly quote anything.
Yeah.
But I see this happen all the time, where basically, okay, so we're going to have a discussion about cultural appropriation, but they get shut down immediately because they're a white person or they're a cis white person, right? They have all the privilege in the world, so they don't get to talk about it.
Yeah. That's racism, really.
Well, yeah, technically. But I think that plays in really well to what you're talking about, bottom-feeding bottom-feeding social justice. Is that what you said? Is that the one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bottom-feeding cultural social justice, where you're not actually having a discussion. You're not actually putting forward any real arguments. You're just calling other people out to discredit them to make you look better. So if you say, oh, you can't talk about this thing, you can't do this thing, it basically is saying I can, or basically you're saying I can't be wrong because you're wrong. In this situation, you're wrong. It's saying in this situation, there's one wrong person, there's one right person. I'm saying right now that you're wrong. They're not saying they're right, but they're saying you're wrong. And in our heads, we go, well, that must make them right. And it's like we spoke last time when Joel was not to throw Joel under the bus, but we brought it up with him when he did it anyway. But when he called Gina Ryan a fat cow,
he said fat bitch.
Fat bitch. I think he'd be okay with us talking about it since he stood by his comments.
We've talked about it a couple of times.
Yeah,
and I still stand by. It's funny. It's funny when he does it.
Oh yeah. Joel loves to get a reaction, and I appreciate that. It's an important part of the dynamic. But yeah, when you're having a discussion about something, or you're trying to discuss an argument with someone, if you attack their character, it's the laziest way of arguing. Debating.
You've basically given up. You've gone, oh, okay, so my ideas clearly cannot trump yours. I'm just going to make you look like such an idiot that no one listens to your ideas anymore. Yeah.
And yet again, I wanted to say once more, I don't think that's what Joel was doing anyway. Joel does he's got his opinions and he's got his thoughts on the situation. He actually has more to offer.
Totally.
But it's just a good example that if you listen back a couple of episodes, you'll hear what I'm talking about.
Oh, it's like 5 maybe.
Oh Jesus. Time flies when you're philosophical.
Oh no, that's right. You can tell because in the thumbnail it's got a really large fat person in a bathtub covered in money. I'm pretty sure it's the vaporwave one.
Yeah, it was. You're right. Yeah, and look, I want to be really careful around the subject because I understand that. Yes, obviously I am extremely privileged, and it's and I need to be aware of that. But to just shoot someone down based on that without and not letting them have a voice in the discussion is lazy from an argument from a debating point of view, and also means that like how do you think they're going to react? How do you think anyone's going to react if you silence them like that and say, oh no, but your opinion is not valid? Well, then of course they're going to react like an animal backed into the corner. I think that's why Trump supporters are so volatile and so angry, is because they've been told by everyone, no, you're automatically wrong because you're a racist white guy from the South and you support Trump, so anything you say is wrong. Then they're only going to react with, well, fuck everybody.
I'd rather just not listen to this person entirely.
It's so you're shutting down the conversation and you're creating the person you thought you were fighting with originally. You thought you were fighting with a bigot. Well, now you've fucking made one. If you're going to argue like that.
Well, also, by definition, bigotry is the denial of another person's like ideas, or it's the rejection. Yeah, let's get this going. Bigotry, intolerance towards those who hold different opinions from oneself. So. You are a bigot if you're telling someone else that their opinion is invalid. Yep. You're a bigot. And to say that it's justified because bigotry, you've faced bigotry in your life, and that means that you're allowed to shut down everyone else's ideas, it's just... No, that's a cycle of bigotry abuse.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. I mean, that's how these people are thinking in America when they're thinking like white guys don't have a voice anymore, and now that kind of fuels this new wave of racism in America. I think is because they've just been constantly shut down instead of having a discussion. Then they act like that. Then they start to think like, okay, shit. Well, I have actually lost my voice. Which obviously, like, everyone knows that, yeah, the white man hasn't lost their voice. We obviously have the majority of the voice, but...
Wouldn't it be really funny if all white people just couldn't talk anymore? Like, we all became mute? And then, like, we just all became such great graphic designers because that's the only way we could communicate. Yeah, I've got a protest for the alt-right.
Yep.
Just don't talk for an entire year. Do all of your communication through memes and writing.
That's kind of where they're going, isn't it? Is they use memes now. That's their last bastion of freedom is memes.
Which is a pity because memes are now somewhat racially charged, and it's like, well, I didn't need that.
Yeah. But memes should be allowed to explore every possible idea.
Free memes.
We should just be allowed to shoot them down if they're straight up racist.
Yeah. Also, it's funny when someone reveals their racist attitudes through an image or something. Like it has its own value when someone produces a really bigoted view, but the meme is like funny to look at. It's there's a meme page I like called "This Would Be Really Funny If It Wasn't So Sad." And they actually share memes that are just like Christian mums talking about drugs or whatever, and they're just like misspelt and just like poorly worded, and you're just like, yeah, this would be funny if it wasn't just sad.
Yeah. There's I think it's people use it as a way to hide their views as well, because you can post a really racially charged meme, and when someone calls you out, it's like, no, it's ironic. It's a meme. I'm being ironic. I don't know how that works.
Well, what do you think about the garlic bread memes attacking genders?
I haven't seen the garlic bread memes.
There was a garlic bread meme at one point that was if I had a piece of garlic bread for every existing gender.
Oh, I'd have... Yeah, no, I think I have seen
and there were only 2 pieces of garlic bread.
I mean, it's a funny meme because it's so absurd. And I like that. But anyway.
I get you, man.
This is...
I'm not going to deny someone's crazy weird gender or not weird gender, but like just different gender. I'm not going to tell you can't have that. I might laugh at a garlic bread meme that suggests there aren't other genders.
Yeah. People just that's a I think people who are arguing that there's only 2 genders are usually arguing that like they're using that I would like to say Jordan Peterson does it. That like you argue a fact and you therefore ignore the argument. Like you say, yeah, but biologically there's only 2. Like, yeah, but that's not what they're talking about. They're not talking about...
Yeah.
They acknowledge that there's biologically 2 genders, but then gender means different things to different people. Like, we're arguing language now and arguing identity. It's a whole other separate argument, and you're just using this separate thing.
Identity will always be a metaphysical thing. Or, like, you can reflect it physically, but it exists in a metaphysical space.
Yeah. Oh boy, we're getting to the end of the podcast. This end of the podcast got real dangerous territory. But I think we handled that relatively well. If anyone's angry, and if you know we're wrong, let us know in the comments below, because I'd love to.
Yeah, please do.
I'd love to actually just have a discussion and be wrong, because that's how you learn. We did have one final topic on that note. Of just people can't be wrong these days. I'll actually just touch on it briefly because Internet Comment Etiquette brought it up. I can't remember when. I think it was it doesn't matter when he did it. But anyway, yeah, just the point that people online can't be wrong. And in fact, I saw a comment on one of his videos on it was a Reddit comment. Someone commented saying, "Oh, sorry, my bad." Don't know what they were correcting themselves on, but basically they just said they were wrong. And the comment immediately after was, "Did somebody just admit fault online?" I was like, it is. It's shocking when someone does it. People can't be wrong. And apparently, like, even physically, it triggers a physical reaction in your brain. Like, you actually feel physically hurt when you are wrong. And I totally get it. I've been wrong and it hurts. It's real bad.
Yeah.
But we need to work really hard to be comfortable with it, because otherwise, no proper discussions can be had.
Yeah.
That's how you learn.
Like, if we were all still monkeys, just thinking to ourselves, yeah, we know what's up, but we're completely unable to communicate that, and unable to even test out what we think is good or right, then nothing happens, I guess. You need, like, if you're wrong, you actually need the space to figure that out.
Yeah, you can't just be shut down just say you're wrong and then not tell you how
because
you can be right.
Your brain doesn't even, like you were saying, there's like an actual process that happens. Like if I said the sky is red to somebody and they're like, get your eyes checked, you're an idiot or something. I wouldn't go through the actual process of going, yeah, maybe he's right, it is blue.
Attacking someone like that is not going to how you correct someone.
Not even how you help them learn.
But people aren't trying to help people learn. They're just trying to shut people down. They just this is what I was saying before. Like, everyone's assuming that you're in a discussion, one side is right, one side is wrong, and so if you prove that they're wrong, then you are right. But that's actually not entirely true at all. Like, in a discussion, you can turn out that both your viewpoints were wrong, and it's actually somewhere in the middle, or it's somewhere off to the side. It has nothing to do with what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yes, essentially, please correct us.
Correct us and send us memes and insult us. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to leave off with a quote from Alan Moore.
Nice.
We're all puppets, Laurie. I'm just a puppet who can see the strings. That's a good bloody quote. Yeah. Alright, is there any information? Actually, quickly, there won't be an episode next week because I'm going to move my house. Maybe there will.
Yep.
We might try and get an episode out later in the week.
We need to somehow fix this machine that's trapped us on an oil rig.
Oh, yeah. Hang on. Are the hammers still? No, that's dead. We'll get it fixed.
And then Rye's moving house.
For now, we're still robots. Good bit. Coprolalia. Commitment.
Bye.
See ya.